Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Praise your mighty name, Jesus. you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Somebody say, praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
Y'all can be seated. I didn't say all that. Before we even begin tonight, I'm going to have Brother Charles to pray over the message before it even starts up. So, Brother Charles, if you would, pray over that.
Lord, we thank you, God, for your Spirit, God, that we feel in this place tonight. God, we thank you for each one that gathered together to hear your word. God, as we go into this word tonight, God, we ask that you anoint your messenger tonight. And God, that you anoint our hearts and ears to receive your word tonight. And let it all be done for thy glory. And we'll praise you for it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Before I even begin, I'm going to have to apologize somewhat and ask for y'all just to bear with me. The Lord began dealing with me on this subject weeks ago, but it was the very thing that I was studying the morning that my pawpaw passed away. Thank you, Brother Jordan. I want to read to you the definition of, and let's not get quiet. Let's not get quiet tonight. I'm not going to let you. I want to read to you the definition of valley. And hopefully it'll have something an intriguing way on your mind like it did mine. An outstretched or prolonged depression, a place or part that is lower than the surrounding area of the surface. Usually between ranges of hills or mountains, a low point or condition. I want you to remember that tonight. The definition of valley, one of the definitions. I'm going to go to 1 Samuel 17 in verse 1 in the AMPC. Now the Philistines gathered their armies for battle, and they were assembled at Succoth, which belongs to Judah, and encamped between Succoth and Azekah in Ephes Dammim. Paul and the men of Israel were encamped in the valley of Elah, and drew up in battle array against the Philistines. And the Philistines stood in a mountain on one side, and Israel stood in a mountain on the other side, with the valley between them. And a champion went out of the camp of the Philistines named Goliath of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span, almost 10 feet. And he had a bronze helmet on his head and wore a coat of mail, and the coat weighed 5,000 shekels of bronze. He had bronze shin armor on his legs and a bronze javelin across his shoulders. And the shaft of his spear was like a weaver's beam. His spearhead weighed 600 shekels of iron. And a shield barrier went before him. I'm going somewhere. Just hang tight. Hang tight. Goliath stood and shouted to the ranks of Israel, "Why have you come out to draw up for battle? Am I not a Philistine? And are you not servants of Saul? Choose a man of yourselves and let him come down to me. If he is able to fight me and kill me, then will we be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then you shall be our servants and serve us." In verse 10, and the Philistines said, "I defy the ranks of Israel this day. Give a man that we may fight together." Defy comes from the word sharaf, which means to taunt, defame, or to expose. And here we have a giant that is taunting the children of God,
Right.
but to the extreme that he is exposing what he views as their weakness.
Right.
Can I get an amen from the valley tonight? Whether you want to confess it or not. When Saul and all Israel heard those words of the Philistine, they were greatly dismayed and greatly afraid. David was the son of an Ephrathite of Bethlehem in Judah named Jesse, who had 8 sons. Jesse in the days of Saul was old, advanced in years. His 3 eldest sons had followed Saul. Stay with me, y'all. Stay with me. It's a lot of reading. Stay with me. His 3 eldest sons had followed Saul into battle. Their names were Eliab, the firstborn, next Abinadab, and third Shammah. David was the youngest. The 3 eldest followed Saul. But David went back and forth from Saul to feed his father's sheep at Bethlehem. How many knows that unlike Saul, we serve a king that's not sitting down? The Philistine came out morning and evening, presenting himself for 40 days. I ask you tonight, do you have some type of giant pecking you on your shoulder when you rise up in the morning? And again when you lay down at night? And with all those amens, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that this is for you tonight then.
Thank you, Lord.
And Jesse said to David, his son, take your brothers and Ephah of this parched grain and these 10 loaves and carry them quickly to your brothers at the camp. Also take these 10 cheeses. I like cheese. Also take these 10 cheeses to the commander of their thousands. See how your brothers fare and bring some token from them. Go and check on your brothers and bring me something back to make me feel better.
Right.
And again, I want to draw emphasis on the very fact that David's own father sent him out into the battle.
Right.
Now Saul and the brothers and all the men of Israel were in the valley of Elah fighting with the Philistines. So David rose up early morning, left the sheep with a keeper, took the provisions, and went as Jesse had commanded him. He was obedient, Sister Tina, to his father's command. And he came to the encampment as the host going forth to the battleground shouted the battle cry. And Israel and the Philistines put the battle in array, army against army. David left his packages in the care of the baggage keeper and ran into the ranks and came and greeted his brothers. He went and checked on his brothers or his father. And they talked, behold, Goliath, the champion, the Philistine of Gath, came forth from the Philistine ranks and spoke the same words as before. And David, this time there was a difference. David heard him this time, a man after God's own heart.
Right.
And all the men of Israel, when they saw the man, fled from him terrified. We don't know anything about running from giants in our lives, do we? Even the ones that we can't see, the ones that we conjure up right up in here.
Right. Come on.
And the Israelites said, have you seen this man who has come out? Surely he has come out to defy Israel. And the man who kills him, the king will enrich with great riches, and will give him his daughter, and make his father's house free from taxes and service in Israel. And David said, what? Huh? To the men, I made that part of it. Said to the men standing by him, what shall be done for the man who kills the Philistine and takes away the reproach from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God?
Right.
And the men told him, thus shall it be done for the man who kills him. And now we have a word from the sidelines.
Come on.
You know, Brother Daniel, the place where there is no action, right? Sidelines.
Right.
Where the only war injury you're going to be sporting around is that numb backside on the sidelines.
Come on.
28th verse. Now Eliab, his eldest brother, heard what he said to the men. And Eliab's anger was kindled against David. And he said, why did you come here? With whom have you left those few sheep in the wilderness? I know your presumption and evilness of heart, for you have come down that you might see the battle. Now, Dawn, if you will, go ahead and flash that title up there. Victory in the valley. I want you to look at somebody tonight and tell them with confidence and faith, I'm going to get my victory in this valley. I've come here tonight to get my victory in this valley. And David said, what have I done now? Was it not a harmless question? And David turned away from Elah to another, and he asked the same question. And again the men gave him the same answer. When David's words were heard, they were repeated to Saul, and he sent for him. David said to Saul, let no man's heart fail because of the Philistine. Your servant will go out and fight with him.
Right.
Victory in the valley. Victory in the valley.
Right.
Evidently that doesn't do for y'all what it does for me on the inside. Victory in the valley. And again a word from the sidelines. And Saul said to David, you are not able to go and fight against this Philistine. You are only an adolescent, and he has been a warrior from his youth. In other words, Sister Tina, I'm not able, so therefore you're not able. Then you're just going to have to live with it. Mighty God. And David said to Saul, wait a minute, coach, back it up. Your servant kept his father's sheep. And when there came a lion or again a bear and took a lamb out of the flock, I went out after it and smote it and delivered the lamb out of its mouth. And when it arose against me, I caught it by its beard and smote it, and I killed it. You see tonight, church, I read of a man named David who was all about his father's business. Can we honestly say that we are about our Father's business?
Come on.
Are we willing to fight a lion and or a bear to save one of our Father's sheep that has gone missing? Can you say that tonight? Can you say that tonight about yourself? Your servant killed both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be like one of them, for he has defied the armies of the living God. Victory in the valley. Somebody shout it tonight. Victory in the valley. David said, the Lord who delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said to David, go, and the Lord be with you. All of a sudden the sideline had a good idea. Then Saul clothed David with his armor. He put a bronze helmet on his head and clothed him with a coat of mail. And David girded his sword over his armor. And he tried to go but could not, for he was not used to it. And David said to Saul, I cannot go with these, for I'm not used to them. And David took them off. Church, I don't know about y'all tonight, but I've had to take a lot of things off that the sidelines thought would equip me for the battles in my life. A lot of things. And if the sidelines are whispering words to you tonight, no, take them words off. Just know to take those words off. Then he took his staff in his hand and he chose 5 smooth stones out of the brook. 5 smooth stones. You see, church, David showed up to the battle with a praise on his lips, faith deep down inside, and a weapon in his hand. But what about the ammo?
Come on.
What about the ammo? Would you allow me tonight to provoke a thought in your mind? Mighty God.
Come on. Bless him, Lord.
Your ammo is in the valley. Look at somebody tonight and say, my ammo is in the valley. Then he took his staff in his hand, Brother Carroll, and chose 5 smooth stones out of the brook and put them in his shepherd's lunch bag, a whole kid's skin slung from his shoulder, in his pouch. And his sling was in his hand. And he drew near the Philistine.
Yeah.
And right here, church, I want to insert something that the Lord has had me studying on. Now, I don't know why you're grinning from ear to ear. Read it. Studying on 5 stones. 5. But only 1 was used. Does that not leave 4 stones right there?
Yeah.
I don't know about y'all, but that provoked me to thinking and praying and searching what God would have me to understand about that. And there went a stone. 5 chief Philistine cities. And I'm going to go over what each of them mean. Gaza was a chief Philistine city. I want you to think about this. This is a stone. 5 stones. Strong, it meant strong. Looking up our definition of strong. Having great physical ability, effective, especially in a specified direction. Not easily upset. Not easy to break, to damage, to injure, to overcome, or resist. That's what one of those towns meant. One of the giants. Ashkelon, the fire of infamy, the fire of sin and corruption. Ashdod, effusion, the unrestrained outburst, expression of words or feelings. Gath meant wine press. Grapes went through a very rigorous and ugly process at the wine press. You see, grapes are trodden or stomped under feet, and they are bruised at a wine press. And that's what Gath means. Ekron, torn up by the roots. So all of a sudden, to Ben, the way that God highlighted it to me, and I give him all the glory, I have 5 stones for each of those things that I just named. And I know that that could hit every single one of us here tonight, that we have had or have an active giant coming against us tonight. And somebody say victory in the valley. The Philistine came on and drew near to David, the man who bore the shield going before him. And when the Philistine looked around and saw David, he scorned and despised him, for he was but an adolescent with a healthy reddish color and a fair face. And the Philistine said to David, "Am I a dog?" You really want me to answer that? "That you should come to me with sticks?" And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. The Philistine said to David, "Come to me, and I will give your flesh to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field." Then said David to the Philistine, "You come to me with a sword, a spear, and a javelin." Mine reads different. "But I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the ranks of Israel, whom you have defied." Victory in the valley. I want to hear that tonight. Victory in the valley. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hand. And I will smite you and cut off your head. And I will give the corpses of the army of the Philistines this day to the birds of the air and the wild beasts of the earth, that the earth may know that there is a God in Israel. Church, tonight I confess to you that there is a God in that time. And I worship you for it, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. that the Lord saves not with sword and spear. For the battle is the Lord's, and He will give you into our hands, you giant. Tonight I ask you, do you have a giant plaguing you? When the Philistine came forward to meet David, David went over to the sidelines and sat down beside his king. No, the word doesn't read that. David ran quickly toward the battle line to meet the Philistine. David put his hand into his bag and took out a stone, and Brother Charles, he slung it. And it struck the Philistine, sinking into his forehead, and he fell on his face to the earth. And if the musicians would, please be making your way up. So David prevailed over the Philistines with a sling and with a stone, and struck down the Philistine and slew him. But no sword was in David's hand. You got to finish that giant off. No sword was in his hand. So he ran and he stood over the Philistine, took his sword, his own sword, and drew it out of its sheath and killed him and cut off his head with it. When the Philistines saw that their mighty champion was dead, they fled. They fled. I want everybody to go ahead and stand. They fled.
Thank you, Lord.
And the men of Israel and Judah, they rose with a shout.
Yeah.
I said they rose with a shout. Oh my God, they pursued the Philistines as far as Gath and the gates of Ekron. So the wounded Philistines fell along the way. Did y'all get that? The wounded Philistines, they fell along the way from Sharon as far as Gath and Ekron. The Israelites returned from their pursuit of the Philistines and plundered their tents.
Right. Amen.
Tonight I wonder what giant plagued your life. And I pose a question to you. How long are you going to put up with it? How long are you going to put up with it? Which stone meets your purpose? Which giant plagues your life? I want us to all come forward. I'm going to lay these stones down. You got a giant? God's got a stone. I want us to lift up our voice in unity. And I want to thank God. I want us to all unify and thank God for victory in this valley. Thank you, Lord.